Welcome to the Raven's Call podcast. My name is Stefan and I'm your host. You can find all my work on Instagram. My handle is ravenscall_BE. That is Ravenscall, one word, _BE. And you can also find all my music on all major platforms and YouTube. Same name, Ravenscall. Thank you. Hi, welcome back to another episode of our journey into Norse mythology and ancient wisdom. Today, we will dive into the intriguing mystery of two of the most prominent goddesses in Norse mythology, Freyja and Frigg. Are they separate deities, or are they, in fact, one and the same, split by names and titles that reflect different roles and regional worship? In today's episode, we will explore where each name was used, their husbands, the etymological roots that bind them, and consider why they might actually be the same goddess. We will also explore how the impact of Christianity may have played a role in shaping Frigg as a more pious version of Freyja, stripping away aspects of magic and sexuality that were seen as unacceptable in the Christian worldview. Alright, here we go. Freyja and Frigg are two powerful figures. They are each associated with love, fertility, and motherhood. But despite their seemingly distinct identities, there is evidence suggesting that these two goddesses could have originated from the same divine archetype, later split into separate deities as Norse culture evolved and diverged. Freyja, whose name means lady or my lady, is closely associated with the Vanir, a group of gods linked to fertility, wealth, and natural forces. Her worship was particularly strong in southern Scandinavia, including modern-day Sweden and Denmark. As a goddess of love, beauty, sex, and war, Freyja's name itself was more of a title than a personal identifier, emphasizing her role as the principal lady of the Vanir. On the other hand, Frigg, often known as the Queen of the Aesir, was primarily worshipped in Norway and parts of Iceland. Her name, Frigg, derives from the Old Norse word Freyja, or free, meaning beloved or to love, indicating her role as a goddess of marriage, family, and domestic tranquility. Like Freyja, she was associated with fertility and motherhood, and both were renowned for their powers of prophecy and wisdom. So, one of the critical clues linking Freyja and Frigg is the nature of their names. Freyja is not a personal name, but a title, meaning lady. This is crucial because it suggests that her identity was more fluid, adaptable, and interchangeable. This kind of title was a mark of high status, possibly covering various aspects of divine femininity that could have once been part of a single goddess's domain. Think also about her brother, Frey, also a title meaning Lord. His name could have been Yngvi or Yngwas. Anyway, Frigg's name, on the other hand, originates from the Proto-Germanic word Freyja, closely linked to the Old Norse word for beloved or to love. The etymological connection between Frigg and the concept of love, as well as her role as Odin's wife, aligns closely with the domains traditionally associated with Freyja, suggesting that Frigg's personal name could be seen as a more intimate, household-oriented title or name of the same divine figure. Another fascinating parallel between Freyja and Frigg is their husbands, Odin and Odur. Odin, as we know, was once the chief god of the Aesir, the one-eyed wanderer, seeker of wisdom, and god of war, death, and magic. Frigg, as his wife, is often depicted as the queen who understands the fate of all beings, but rarely shares her wisdom. Freyja's husband, Oeder, is a far more elusive figure in the sagas, but his name is particularly striking. Oeder, meaning frenzy or inspiration, shares a linguistic root with Odin, suggesting that Oeder might be an earlier, less defined version of Odin, or even a poetic metaphor for him. Like Odin, Oeder is described as a wanderer who leaves Freyja for long periods, causing her to weep tears of gold, echoing the sorrowful, often lonely aspects of Frigg's story with Odin. So this similarity in their husband's behavior and the names, both stemming from the same root, Oeder, which conveys concepts of mind, ecstasy and inspiration, further blurs the line between Freyja and Frigg. The thematic overlaps between their stories suggest a shared mythological origin, pointing toward a singular goddess divided by time, place, and shifting worship practices. So, some other additional reasons that they might be the same goddess. Overlap in domains and attributes, for example. Both Freyja and Frigg share domains of love, fertility, prophecy, and grief. Freyja is a master of Seder, a magical practice also hinted at in Frigg's prophetic powers. Through Frigg's association with magic, though Frigg's association with magic is less explicit, both weep in times of sorrow, showing deep emotional connections to their stories and symbols. Let's talk about symbols next, and associations. Freyja's falcon cloak and Frigg's associations with falcons and hawks connect them through symbols of freedom and divine intervention. Their roles in spinning and weaving, like fate weaving and Seder, further align them. Let's look at historical and literary evidence. Overlaps in the Prose Edda and Germanic myths suggest a shared origin for both goddesses. The lack of distinct temples points toward an interchangeable worship that could reflect an underlying unity. And later on, and next, we have Christian influence. Frigg as a pious version of Freyja. So one significant theory is that Frigg represents a sanitized version of Freyja, particularly influenced by the rise of Christianity. As Norse societies were Christianized, elements of Freyja's identity, such as her associations with Seder, magic, and sexuality, were seen as inappropriate and incompatible with Christian values. To fit the new religious norms, these elements were minimized or transferred elsewhere, resulting in Frigg appearing as a more socially acceptable goddess focused on primarily family, marriage, and domestic affairs. Frigg's portrayal as a wise, reserved figure stands in stark contrast to Freyja's bold, sensual, and magical nature, hinting that Frigg may have been reshaped into a more modest, pious goddess to align better with Christian morals. All right. The overlapping attributes, the shared myths, and etymological connections between Freyja and Frigg may suggest that they could indeed be two names for the same goddess, shaped by time, place, and changing cultural landscapes. Whether they are truly one deity or two that have intertwined over centuries, their stories continue to captivate and inspire, reminding us of the deep, complex nature of the divine feminine in Norse and Germanic mythology. Understanding Freyja and Frigg as potentially the same goddess allows us to see the fluidity of myth and how gods can embody multiple roles, reflecting the diverse needs of the people who worship them. In the end, whether separate or united, they both represent powerful, multifaceted aspects of life, love, and fate in the Norse and Germanic worldview. Thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the possible shared identity of Freyja and Frigg, be sure to follow for more explorations of ancient wisdom and Norse mythology. You can find me on Instagram. My handle is @ravenskull_be. That is @ravenskull, one word, _be. Until next time, and may your path be guided by the wisdom of the gods. Bye for now.